If you're a Honda S2000 fan, you might want to stick to the end of the video because Honda definitely wants to make the Honda S2000 again. And it might just come back into production again, but it's not that simple. We're going to get into it. We're going to talk about all the financial hurdles that Honda has to go through to make this vehicle. We're going to talk a little bit about the Honda Prelude. Stick to the end of the video. Let's get started. What is going on, boys and girls, and welcome back to another video. If you guys are rocking with the content, make sure you hit the thumbs up, share out the videos. It helps us grow, and subscribe to the channel. We're going to jump right into it. This is the Car Scoop article, and it says the S2000 could return, but only if financial and platform hurdles get out the way. It says Honda engineers would bring back the legendary S2000 sports cars, but the cost and demand and platform issues make the new model unlikely today. Now, the company insists that any revival of this vehicle, of the S2000, has to have the DNA and heritage of the actual vehicle, you know, when it was released back in the days. Now, that's definitely a given because you cannot make an S2000 like you did with the Prelude, because at that point you're just going to bunk the sales and you're just going to dig that company under even more. Because look, at the end of the day, the Prelude has heritage. There is people who love the Prelude, but the new generation, that at least for us that were raised with the 90s, we want to see that VTEC. We want to see that ICE engine, meaning fuel engine. We don't want to see no hybrid. With the new Prelude getting the hybrid engine that does like a 0 to 60 in like 3 days, like the new Prelude is definitely not what we enthusiasts of the brand wanted. Now, contrary to that, when it was released in Japan, when the orders, meaning when the orders were able to be placed in Japan, not when it was released, they got a heck bunch of orders. But we're gonna see if at the end of the day that's just the hype when the Prelude's been released, and we're gonna see if it actually withholds the test of time. So we're gonna continue with that. Let's continue reading the article, but before that, a quick word from our sponsors. All right, boys, this video is sponsored by CarLock. Let me tell you something. If you're a car guy like me, if you love modding your vehicle and buying those expensive parts, make sure that the first part or that first mod you do to your vehicle is the CarLock real-time GPS system. And I'm going to tell you something right now. You think you're going to take your vehicle somewhere, you're going to park it, you're going to lock the doors and walk away. Well, think again, because around 850,000 vehicles get stolen every year in America. That's about one vehicle every 37 seconds. And the recovery rate is less than 1 out of 3. And with CarLock, you actually get that peace of mind. This is the first mod I have ever done and will ever do to any vehicle I purchase from now on. CarLock has been a sponsor of the channel for quite some time. And let me tell you about some of the benefits that CarLock brings. Tamper and monitoring alerts. If anybody turns on the engine, if anybody moves the vehicle, or opens the door, or actually disconnect the system, which is the biggest questions everyone gets. What happens when you disconnect the system? Well, you're going to get a motion and you're going to get an alert like the one you see on the screen here. Now, if you want to find out more info on CarLock, if you want a 14-day trial, if you want a discount, make sure you use my codes JaviVibes, and all the links are on the description below. Let's continue. Now, jumping right back into it, it says, for years, the S2000 filled a role in the Honda's lineup, a purpose that the much softer hybrid Prelude will never satisfy unless they come up with a wilder Type R version. And that's exactly what I was saying. Now, the company has hinted that the S2000 might return, though only after several pieces of the puzzle fall into place. Now, let's see what the chief engineer, which his name is Tomoyuki Yamagami. I tend to murder these Japanese names and I apologize. Tomoyuki Yamagami. Let's see what the chief engineer said. It says the desire to revive the S2000 nameplate runs deep within Honda. As usual, the challenge comes down to numbers and resources. Speaking on the sideline of Japan's mobility show in Tokyo recently, Yamagami-san, who led the development of the new Prelude, told Australian publication Drive that the S2000 remains close to the Honda heart. Now, this is obviously a render of what it could look like, and this would actually look really, really cool. You're still getting the complete S2000 vibe. There are some changes in the back. The rear view mirrors, the side mirrors definitely changed, and the wheels obviously changed. But then again, this is a render, but this could obviously work. I'm not going to lie to you. It could definitely work. And this is what he said. Of course, everybody thinks so. He said when asked if the second generation model was on the table, every Honda employee loves the S2000. Someday I'd like to build another one. The problem with the S2000 is a high bar, and Honda won't try to bring a modern version to the market without ensuring it meets and exceeds that bar. Honda is testing the waters with the Prelude and seeing if, in other words, meets the bar or it exceeds what people wanted. Obviously, with the hybrid engine, is definitely not, even though they've gotten a lot of orders at the beginning, which to me, I think it might be just the hype of the Prelude coming back. But the Prelude is definitely not a fun car. It's not a fun car to drive. You're just going to have the heritage there of a new modern Prelude or what the Prelude used to be. So to me, initially, those bunch of orders that they got were just a bunch of hype. And it says, right now, Honda has no platform that would suit in the S2000 successor. That point led Yamagami to clarify that Honda wouldn't collaborate with another brand on such car. And that's honestly, that's a good thing to hear. Unlike Toyota's partnership with Subaru on the GR86 and with BMW on the GR Supra, we know what is expected from the Honda S2000. So what is important for us is to keep the Honda's DNA explained. Now, let's talk about the math and why it could work. And this is explained obviously in the article. It says, beyond engineering, there's an issue of price. A conventional sports car is very expensive to design, to develop, and to build, and the younger generation cannot afford to buy them. Yamagami explained, a sports car, which has fewer quantity of production, causes high prices. Look, the S2000 was a hit. And the S2000, when it was released, tons of people bought them. To this day, they're super expensive. They held a lot of money in auction, especially for low mileage one. And to this day, they're very sought after. So I think Honda would be in the best intentions to actually make one, because you're actually going to give the enthusiasts of the brand what they want. It says when the original S2000 launched in 1999, it sold for around 69,000 Australian dollars, which is about in today's market is about $2,000 or equivalent in the inflation to $61,000. Cars like the new Prelude benefit from both parts sharing and having a larger market. The automaker can sell it for what it does in parts because it borrows from the Civic. But that's what kills the Prelude, and you're not giving the authenticity of what the Prelude used to be. From the platform to hybrid powertrain and many things you don't see. The S2000, in contrast, was a purpose-built machine with an entirely unique layout and drivetrain. Its high-rev and 2.0 liter F20C and later 2.2 F22C1 engines boast longevity, mounted for the rear-wheel drive, stand among the few Honda's 4 cylinders that designed specifically for that setup. We get it. When you design an S2000, in this case, if you start designing an S2000, you would have a dedicated engine or a dedicated platform, in this case a rear-wheel drive mount, everything specifically to that setup. So it definitely makes it a bit more expensive. But if the Supra was a hit combined with BMW, if the GR86 are still being a hit combined with BMW, I think to the enthusiasts is exactly what they would want, even though you would have to dedicate an engine or a drivetrain specific to that setup. Despite that, listen to this, despite that, Honda says that people are still complaining to the new two-door HEV that the new two-door HEV is too expensive. This new Prelude is created and produced and developed as a combination of the Civic Type R, and HEV, so we can decrease the price. And still, we receive the feedback from buyers that it's still too expensive. Put another way, Honda will need to find a way to justify the price on building a new S2000. Right now, it just cannot do it. My final opinion is this. The reason the Prelude, the reason you're getting a complaint because the Prelude is too expensive is because you didn't give the enthusiasts what they want. Yeah, you gave it bits and tips of the Civic Type R, but you gave it the HEV. You gave it this hybrid engine that makes no power, that doesn't make the Prelude fun at all. And yes, it does carry a high price. So in contrast, if you make an S2000, if you make a specific platform to it, engine, drivetrain is specific to that setup, even though it might be a bit expensive, the enthusiasts will pay for it because you're giving them exactly what you want. At the end of the day, with the Prelude, you didn't give the enthusiasts what they wanted. And that's just my take on it. All right, boys and girls, the S2000 could make its way into production. Hopefully, some of the financial and platform hurdles could get out the way, and we could definitely see the S2000 hopefully in the near future. If you guys are enjoying the content, make sure you tune in. I'll see you on the next one.